So now we've gone through drawing basics, we're going to go through all these modify commands. These are going to be extremely useful when drawing up a bridge. Now I'm going to draw a quick, simple deck piece and go through all of these commands because they're going to be extremely useful when you're drawing. So first I want to get rid of all of this. Now if you click top right, drag to the bottom left, you'll have this green box. The green box means anything that is touching that box, AutoCAD will automatically select. I'll click, you'll see how everything's selected here. It's got that little blue glow to it, and I can just press delete on my keyboard and it deletes everything. So let's draw a quick deck piece. Now, right, this deck piece has to constrain to certain dimensions. So I'm going to show you how to draw lines that are specific dimensions and how to quickly multiply that deck piece to make many shapes. So we're going to click line up here. I'm going to click. As you see, the length of the line is highlighted in blue. So that is telling me how long my line segment's going to be. Now, just for simple purposes, I'm going to make these all 5 inches. Now, the way that AutoCAD works is that number is being rounded to the nearest 16th of an inch. So even though I'm going here to say 5 inches and it says 5 inches, my line segment is not truly 5 inches. It's just AutoCAD is rounding. So what I want to do on my keyboard is type 5 and then the inches symbol and then press enter, and it will create my line segment for me. Now I'm going to chain a bunch of these together. So I'm just going to type 5 inches, enter, and I'm going to drag it out again, 5 inches. As you can see here, I made a mistake. This line is not straight with the rest of them. That was just me being too quick. Now, there are 2 ways you can go about fixing this. You can delete the line and redraw it, which is what I would advise in this situation, because we're trying to get a line to a specific length. Another alternative is if you click this here, you can drag it. If you go over, hover over this point, you can kind of drag it straight out and it'll snap. As you can see, it snaps in the X and the Y direction to right there, and I can click and it'll make my line. Now, I don't know how long this line segment actually is. What you can do as a quick way to figure it out is if you double click on the line, it'll pull up this little line properties thing. It'll tell you what layer it's on and what the line type is, and it says length. Length's 5 inches. So I'm actually okay here. The length is correct. So I can go ahead and close that. And then I'm going to go and draw one more line segment of 5 inches. Enter. So as I hover over these lines, you'll see all the different segments here as they light up, and you'll see how they are. Now, useful command for bridge. There's a certain height that the deck can be. So there are 2 quick ways to set that height where you want it to be. You can highlight all of these. You can copy, Control C, and then paste, Control V. And you can just drop this anywhere. Once again, this is going to have all my small segments in it. So say we want the upper deck and lower deck to be offset 6 inches. We can click this line up here. Click right on the endpoint, draw a line, we'll say 6 inches. Okay, so now we know this is 6 inches. This bottom point is where we want this line to be. So we're going to want to move this line segment to be snapped here. And that's because we know this line is 6 inches. We know our deck can be 6 inches deep. So in order to do that, you're going to highlight all of these line segments here. Then up here is where the move command is. Now that, once again, if you hover over it, will give you a little description on what the move command is, or you can just type M, press enter, and it'll start the move command. Now next to your crosshair, it says specify base point. So that is the first point. That is typically going to be selected on the object you want to move. So we want to move this object here. So I'm going to select this point at the corner here. I'm going to click it. And then the second command is specify second point. So that is, where do you want the point you just selected to be at the end of this command? I want it to be down here. So I'm going to click there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and delete that line. Okay, now I have 2 different lines here. We'll call this upper deck. We'll call this lower deck, and they're offset 6 inches. Another way to do that, I'm going to go ahead and delete this line. Another way to do that is the offset command. So similar to move, you're going to select what you want to offset. Right here, this guy is the offset command. As all commands, hover over it, gives you a description. You can click that, or if you type off, it will begin your offset command. You press enter. So it says specify offset distance. So that is asking how much do I want to move this line? Well, not this line, make a copy of this line. How far away do I want it to be? And I'm going to say 6 inches, enter. All right. Now it says select the object you want to offset. So if I hover over this line here and I click on it, as you can see, as I move the cursor above and below, it's going to automatically create a copy of that line 6 inches away. And then I'm going to click, it's going to make a copy. I'm going to do it again for this one, again for this one, and again for that one. So that's another way that you can go about, offsetting lines a certain distance that you want them to be. Now, as I was saying, this is the upper deck. We're going to call this the lower deck. However, they're both on the same layer. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to go into layer properties. We're going to create a new layer. We're going to call this one lower deck. And we're going to change it to this bright green color. We're going to hit OK. We're going to close that out. Once again, if you hit this drop down, you'll see there's another lower deck layer now. So what you can do in AutoCAD is once you have something drawn, even if it is on the incorrect layer, you can highlight all of those items, go up here, click this drop down, click lower deck, and everything highlighted is going to be changed to that new layer. So there we go. We have our new layer. We have this on the lower deck layer up here. And if you highlight this one, it's on the upper deck layer. Now, if you have nothing selected, this is going to show the layer that you're going to be currently drawing in. We're going to go on and draw some quick webbing in here. So I'm going to go layer properties. I'm going to make a new one, and I'm going to call this webbing. I'm going to make this bright blue. All right, close out. Now, I don't want to be drawing in the upper deck layer. I want to be drawing in the webbing layer. So I'm going to create webbing. I'm going to go over to my line. I'm going to snap to here. As you can see, I want to snap to where that point ends. All right, there's my square. That's the end point of my first segment. I'm going to click there. Now I'm going to draw another line down to here. Again, I want that square. That means I'm snapping to an end point of a line. I'm going to click there. So now I have one triangle of webbing drawn. I want a second one. One way I can do that is by drawing another triangle, or you can use the mirror command, which is extremely useful. You can highlight all of this. Up here is the mirror command. You're going to click on it. It makes a mirror of the object you have selected. So what it's going to say is specify first point of mirror line. So what you're going to be drawing here is the plane that you're going to be mirroring these objects over. I want this point to be my first point because I want this to line up. So if I click here and then just draw straight up, you'll see a little preview of what's going to appear next. I'm going to click on it. It's going to say erase source object. You can click yes or no. As you can see, the no has a dot next to it, meaning it's selected by default. So you can just press enter and it will, select the no. Another way to do the mirror command again, I'm going to mirror this whole member, is you can type MI and that activates the mirror command. And then again, draw my line that I want to mirror everything over, click again, press enter, and there you go. That is a quick way to make a deck of a bridge, as you can just mirror this over many times. Now, the other command you can do is once you have a good segment drawn, you can click on this whole thing. Right up here is this copy command. You can click copy. It's going to say specify base point. This is kind of similar to the move command. You're going to click here again at the end or wherever you want to have your copy base point. Click it. As you can see, I'm going to have the second object here. So the second object that I'm moving around is the new one that I'm going to place. So like the mirror or like the move command, I want to drop it over here. So I can click there. It's going to create a copy. However, with this, you can chain multiple copies together. So I can make as many of these as I want. And then once I want to end the copy command, I press escape. Pressing escape kind of gets you out of every command. I'm going to delete all these ones up here. They aren't needed. All right. The last command I'm going to go through that is really useful when working on drawings is this trim command. So what this trim command does is it's a little confusing if you don't know exactly how it works. The easiest way I can describe to do it is let's just draw a line right here for now. So let's say I wanted to trim all of these line segments so that they weren't actually going up to here. Say I wanted them to end at this line that's intersecting it. So what I would do is I would select the line that I want all of the lines I'm going to trim to end at. That may not be the best way to describe this. That's kind of the best way I can say it. It's easier to follow along. So I'm going to select that line, click on trim, or type TR. That pulls up the trim command. And then it's going to select object to trim. So that is saying all the lines I want to essentially delete. So as you can see, if I hover over this line segment, it kind of goes gray. That means I'm trimming this line, this long blue line that is originally one segment, from its end point to where the line I originally selected was. Now I can click on this line or this line. So if you click on them, it makes it go away. Same goes for here, same goes for here. Now, if you only had one line selected, it's going to automatically trim from the end of the line you're trying to delete to the line you had selected. Now, this is a whole line right here. Now, if I just want to trim, say, in between these two lines, I would select both of them. Then type TR, press enter, and it would break the segment just in between those two selected lines. It wouldn't go all the way to the endpoint like before. So now I can do that. So the trim command is another really useful command that will save you a ton of time when you're working on this stuff. Some of these other commands up here, I won't get into in this video. There's a lot of different things you can do with AutoCAD. There's 2 or 3 more that are going to be useful. You know, there's different annotative tools. There's different ways you can quickly match properties or create new layers, things like that. I'm not going to get into all that. It's not really necessary for the steel bridge specific purpose of this. One of the really useful commands over here is measure. You click this drop down, there's all different types of measuring. You know, if you measure distance, you can select 2 points and it'll display what the distance is on those line segments. You can also do this for radius, angle. You can measure areas. There's all kinds of different things you can measure. And then lastly, another quick tip here. If you click this drop down for your layers, there's this little light bulb, which turns layers on and off. There's this freeze, which is also a way to turn layers on and off. The freezing is more useful when you're trying to create physical sheets that are going to be printed out rather than just doing drawing. So I'll show you here. If I turn this off, it's going to give me a warning message because I'm currently drawing in the webbing layer and I'm trying to turn it off. So it's just going to say, hey, you're drawing in a layer that isn't going to show up. For this, I'm just say turn the current layer off. And as you can see, it hides all the layer or all the elements that are on that webbing layer. And then this little padlock here is going to lock it. If you click on that, it kind of dulls that layer a little bit, and you are not going to be able to modify any of these. As you can see, those blue squares aren't showing up and this little lock shows up. It means you can't modify that layer. So those are a few things just to keep in mind when you're drawing that can be helpful to turn things on and off. That's kind of everything I was planning on going over for this AutoCAD basics tutorial. There will be other videos after this that get a little bit more in depth into the 3D drawings that we do for the bridge and some of the other things we do along the way that make this easier. I hope you all learned something from this video and it'll be useful when you're getting started with AutoCAD or trying to draw. I know a lot of these commands may be basic for people that have used this software before, but there's lots of you that haven't, and you can always feel free to ask your PMs Ask upperclassmen that have done this before in the club. Ask Google. Autodesk has a great forums. If you know what you're trying to do, just Google it and you'll probably be able to find some step-by-step process on how to do it. Best of luck this year at the competition, and remember to have fun and try to learn something.